So the Ontario College of Psychologists has told Jordan Peterson that he either undergo retraining for social media etiquette or lose his license to practice as a clinical psychologist. As Voltaire has been quoted as saying, "I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to my death your right to say it."
Don't you miss the days when defending freedom of speech, freedom of expression was a nonpartisan issue? Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist with the Toronto Sun. Pierre Poilievre there, talking about Dr. Jordan Peterson, saying that he may not agree with everything Dr. Peterson has to say, but he'll defend his right to freedom of expression. It's guaranteed in our charter. Section 2B guarantees freedom of expression. But too often in society today, we defend someone's right to freedom of speech or freedom of expression by whether we agree with them politically. Yeah, that's what it's come down to. So Dr. Jordan Peterson, a clinical psychologist, is facing disciplinary measures from the College of Psychologists of Ontario over tweets. That's what started the investigation, tweets and some comments made on Joe Rogan's podcast. But I went through the investigators' report and looked at what actually went through, and I documented them on the torontosun.com in chronological order. And when you read them between the first complaints in January of 2022 all the way through until when the investigation started on March 8th, and you say, how on earth does this lead to an investigation on kicking someone out of the College of Psychologists? It doesn't make sense. The first one that someone complained about was Dr. Peterson retweeting American conservative commentator Ben Shapiro on a December 31st, 2021 tweet. Shapiro cited several media outlets when he and Dr. Anthony Fauci when he posted this. He said, cloth masks are ineffective against Omicron. That's true. We knew it at the time. The vaccinated can spread and get COVID. That's true. The death rate is comparable to the flu. He cited Chris Hayes, who I believe was with MSNBC. He cited many people are entering hospital with COVID, not from COVID. And he cited Dr. Fauci as the source on that. That was true in the United States. It was true in Canada at the time. But Dr. Peterson retweeted that and said, enough already, time to stop. He wanted the mask mandates to stop. He wanted people to get on with their lives. That's not something that you should be kicked out of the College of Psychologists for. Surely he, along with everyone else, could see the psychological damage being done by lockdown measures. We've all talked about it. But this was the first tweet to be complained about. The second was a retweet of Pierre Poilievre. Let me show you this one. COVID has become a never-ending excuse for power-hungry authorities to replace our freedom with their control. Enough. Reopen our businesses, let our truckers drive, and restore freedom for all. Again, Peterson agreed with it, retweeting it, saying, enough COVID mandates. Drop the damn masks and the idiot rules and get on with life. This is the end of January 2022. A few weeks later, the mandates that he was complaining about were being taken away by governments. So it's not as if he was completely offside where things were. It was an argument about where and when to do it, when to stop it. You can't say he was a COVID denier by saying this. Governments all went in this direction, guided by their chief medical officers of health. But this was the second tweet to be complained about. There was another point where he was getting into arguments with Gerald Butts. And here's the final one that somebody complained about. He called Gerald Butts a prick. Well, some people would think that about Jerry, some would not. Again, that's not something that you kick somebody out of the College of Psychologists, take away their license over. Is it intemperate language? Sure. Is it something to lose a license over? No. Let me scroll down to another tweet here where he goes after Justin Trudeau, who says that you can protest the government if you want, but it's time to stop. He wanted the Freedom Convoy, the protest at both the borders and in Ottawa to end. Peterson questioned him on that, said, what's your end game? Lay it out. So now you can't criticize the Prime Minister of the country? This is something that's going to lead to you being kicked out of the College of Psychologists? Now, this last one is a retweet at Roger Palfrey. This is a guy who describes himself as a scientist and educator. He had been arguing with Peterson on Twitter about whether there were too many people on the planet. Peterson's position was that no, there's not too many people on the planet. The planet can sustain human life. But this gentleman argued that there are too many people, that it's causing irreparable harm to species, to the planet. Peterson isn't advocating suicide when he said you're free to leave at any point. He's making a political point. If you really think there's too many people on the planet, you've got an option. That's a valid political point, a valid point of argument based on someone arguing we have too many people out there. But this is being used to now say this gentleman, Dr. Jordan Peterson, needs to be kicked out of the College of Physicians or Psychologists. That, and saying that we simply don't have a culture of Nazis and white supremacists here. You can argue about, are there any? Is there a culture of it? Is it dominant? This was in response to someone who thought Trudeau was right, that white supremacists are everywhere. We can have an argument about that, but again, what does this have to do with psychology? What does this have to do with a professional regulatory body ensuring ethics and standards of its members? Nothing. It's about politics. And in today's day and age, if you go against the politics of the people in control of these organizations, they will try and shut you down. That is not what they are there for. They have provincial legislative backing straight across the country. That gives them incredible power. It doesn't mean that they should use it at will to silence those they disagree with, which is what they're doing, which is why I've heard from people who don't agree with Peterson on all kinds of issues, who don't agree with him on much of anything, but will support him on this. It's why I've heard from teachers, lawyers, doctors, other psychologists saying this is wrong and needs to end. Let me know what you think. Is this the right role? Do you think that we have to police the speech of everybody? Do you agree with the liberal critics online who say, well, this is hate speech, this is making people feel unsafe? If we can't have discussions, debate, a difference of opinion, what have we become as a society? Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below, share this on social media, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.